Welcome to the new Whiteboard Sports program called Scenario-Based Selections. Follow this series as I walk you through each pick of each round in the draft. Each video will begin with a group of players to be selected from, plus the roster of the team currently picking. Round 1, Pick 2. There are still no players yet on our team, so we don't have to worry about team needs yet. So we have these 3 players because LeVeon Bell was taken in the first pick. And these players are David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, and Antonio Brown. Now let's look at the numbers, which we already wrote last episode. So to start out, let's look at the points per game. David Johnson has 20.5. Ezekiel Elliott's got 19.6, and Antonio Brown's got 13.4. These are all elite numbers for their positions, and that's not really going to make our decision for the next pick. Now going to the similarity percentage, David Johnson's got 93%, Ezekiel Elliott's got 96%, and Antonio Brown's got an 88%. And there's a little variation in these, but they're all, sub 90%. And that really means that, starting quarterback's back, the starting running back's back, the top receivers are back. And again, that's not really going to make a decision for us. And then the last set of numbers is the improvement rate, which is for David Johnson a 36.3, Ezekiel Elliott an 8.5, and Antonio Brown a 21.7. Again, there's some variation, but this isn't really a number that we'll choose early round pick. Now let's talk about really what we want for the second overall pick. And we're getting closer, but I still don't want a receiver for the second overall pick, especially when we have these running backs that are, pretty safe and pretty explosive in numbers. And the running backs that we have are David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, so we have to really choose between these two. And I'm going to choose David Johnson because of these 3 reasons. The first one is the passing game. David Johnson's a lot more involved in the Cardinals' passing game than Zeke is in the Cowboys' passing game, which will give him more receptions. That'll help him in PPR leagues, and it'll give him more overall touches, which will convert to yardage and even more touchdowns. The second thing is goal line opportunity. When the Cardinals get in the goal line, they give it to Johnson just about every time. Johnson will finish with 1 to 2 touchdowns per game every game. It's a consistent thing, and I don't really see that changing because it succeeded last year, even though the team overall didn't. And Zeke does the same, but there's also, Des Bryant, who's a red zone target, and even Jason Witten will get some looks. And the last thing I want to point out is the age, and it's not that big of a difference. David Johnson's going into his 3rd year when Ezekiel Elliott's going into his 2nd year, but it really is a big thing because we know that David Johnson can perform because we've seen him do it for 2 years now, and we've only seen Ezekiel Elliott perform for 1 year, and that's kind of a big difference. So the 3rd pick, we're going to take David Johnson with the 2nd pick, and that's that. So the 3rd pick is going to be between Ezekiel Elliott and Antonio Brown. And again, these are 2 really good players. You can't really go wrong with either one. But at pick number 3, I'm actually going to take Antonio Brown for this main reason. In 2016, which was last year, he was number 3 in wide receiver scoring. In 2015, he was number 1 in scoring. 2014, he was number 1 in scoring. In 2013, really his breakout season, he was in the top 10 in scoring. And that just shows his consistency as a complete top-notch receiver in this league. And it basically guarantees that he's going to be within the top 5 in scoring for receivers this year. And that's a really important thing for a first-round pick, is consistency. So for the 3rd pick, I'm going to take Antonio Brown because Ezekiel Elliott is only in his 2nd year along with his quarterback, and that just is not as safe as Antonio Brown, who's been doing it for many years. So for the 4th pick, that leaves us with Ezekiel Elliott, and I have said some things about Ezekiel Elliott, but really overall for the 4th pick, that's a really good pick. But really for the 4th overall, That's a really good option because he does get so many attempts, so many rushes, and the Cowboys really want him to succeed, and they're going to continue feeding him the ball. And Dak Prescott is also a rusher, and that really puts pressure on the defense and expands their opportunity. And they succeeded last year getting to the playoffs, and I don't see any reason why they're going to pull out from that strategy. So for the fourth pick and the final pick of this group of players, I'm going to take Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm going to take it and be happy with it.